Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, welcome back to the podcast of the future. Bum, bum, bum. We are moving out of the past today and into the future here at Two Ticks and the Dog Productions, up above Dave Grohl Alley in downtown Warren, Ohio, with my main man co-host, Brandon Giovanni, back on the mic. Welcome back.
Thank you, buddy.
And our guest today from Brite Energy Innovators, Rick Stockburger.
Awesome, Jim. Thanks for having me. This is super exciting.
Well,
you've had like presidential candidates on this and stuff.
This guy's
Keep going. We've had presidential candidates.
doing his homework.
And beer, a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Speaking of bright and shiny new things, if you want your car to be bright and shiny, you better get to Coates Car Care, where they have a brand new app. Do you know what an app is, Rick?
I've heard of these things.
I guess they go on your phone.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was short for apple. I like to eat apples.
My mom made me some. She cut some up for me. They're in the fridge if you get hungry. Brandon will get them for you. Just signal them.
I prefer to make whiskey myself, but
we prefer to drink whiskey. Feel free to bring some next time you come. The new evolution of car washing is here, the Coates Car Care app, as I'm reading the script that I wrote for their TV spot that Brandon, did you post on the website yet?
Yeah, but I have not posted on the website. It's going to be up there today, though.
Okay. Yeah, up there today.
I did see it, though.
Yeah, CoatesCarCare.com, where you can download, purchase, and get your car clean without even rolling down your window. If you visit the website and click on the Wash Now app icon and download it, you can you download it for free and you can create a free account, and then you can purchase individual washes, buy gift cards, sign up for unlimited wash programs, and download that today, or buy online on CoatesCarCare.com, the website that Brandon created, and we'll be posting that video later, and you will save $3 off of any car wash that you buy. So if you go to the app, you buy a car wash on the app, you buy a single car wash, or you buy from, is there a store online? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so basically a couple of changes on CoatesCarCare.com is they added the store. So you can just go in there and buy gift cards. You could do anything like that. So it works out nice.
Super dope. So if they go there and they buy it on the app, or they buy it on Brandon's website, the designed website, CoatesCarCare.com, save $3 on your individual wash. That's pretty cool, man. That's very futuristic.
I know what I'm doing after this because I need a car wash.
Nice.
So.
Well, if you enter at theprodcast.net, you can win one of those. There's a little plug for our little promotion going on. Rick is the CEO of Brite Energy Innovators, and he agreed to come on the show today to talk about the future of the country, and really the future of what used to be termed, appropriately or inappropriately, I hate the actual branding of it, the Rust Belt.
It's funny. We'll argue on that one because I actually loved the Rust Belt.
This is going to be the shortest interview in podcast history.
Hey, there'll be some contention, some arguments.
It's going to have drama and conflict. I love it. It's awesome.
It's always more fun when we disagree on things, right?
This is true. So as we move into the future, speaking about moving into the future, I just want to ask Brandon, because I haven't got a chance to see him. He looks super focused today.
Right.
And Rick, soon you'll be super focused as you're drinking an Axio energy drink. Available. Oh, it's got it. Yeah, it doesn't have fizz, though. Yeah. It's available at biohacktomorrow.com. Brandon has started biohacking using Nerf 1 and Nerf 2 activators. How you feeling, man? It's been 5 days?
Yeah, it's been about 5 days now. The biggest problem, like I told you, Jim, is that I was having a problem when I wake up in the morning. My daughter comes in, wakes me up. She normally crawls in bed, and then I doze off a little bit over and over. And ever since I took this, and I know it's only 4 days, results may vary, but as soon as she wakes me up in the morning, I'm not giddy and let's go downstairs, but I can't fall back asleep. My body is starting to, honest to God, just start, okay, let's get the day rolling a lot sooner. So I'm a fan so far, Jim.
Nice. 4 days in, man, he's already seeing some positive effects. You did say that you were had a little bit of cotton in the mouth starting out, and maybe had a couple of more BMs. We'll save that for when Mike Polk comes back on. Talk about BMs. You have to listen to that one.
I'm always down for a good BM.
He tells some pretty funny BM stories.
Huh.
That's a couple episodes back. But biohacking tomorrow is like using biology, what we eat, what we put into our body, how we treat our body. Biohacking tomorrow, what our body will be like tomorrow. Biohacktomorrow.com. But you are biohacking the Rust Belt, what they're trying to now label as Voltage Valley. Dun, 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 dun. Tell us about it.
Well, we're more puns. We're leading the charge, right?
Future is bright.
Yeah.
Get electrified. It's just a big wraparound here.
I also like to be able to tell people I'm a Brite CEO. Totally why we changed the name. No, Voltage Valley is just an awesome opportunity, I think, for our region. We have so much strengths right now in additive manufacturing with YBI and the work that they do. And this is just an ability for us to be able to kind of lift ourselves up in two different industries. I think one thing that we found in the past certainly was if you focus everything around a single industry and that single industry doesn't do so well, what happens? We're all sons of that, I think, in many ways.
Sure.
My father was a steel worker for 30 or 28 years because he got laid off before he could get his 30-year retirement.
Where was he at?
American Steel Foundry. So I grew up in Alliance, Ohio. Just outside of Alliance on a farm. So yes, the Mahoning River went through basically my backyard. I grew up in the Mahoning Valley despite
being from Alliance.
But despite being 1 mile from Mahoning County, where my residence was growing up my entire life. But yeah, so no, Voltage Valley, Steve Burns came up with the term from Lordstown Motors, and we really see that we have this strength, not just with Lordstown Motors, but does anybody know Aptiv has a research facility like right down the road here in Warren, Ohio?
Yeah, what do they call that? The Warren, there's a name for that.
Yeah, it's got a cool name.
Yeah, but no one can remember what it is.
Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Right behind Kent State, Trumbull. So there's Aptiv that's here. Also, Tata Steel, or the Thomas Steel Strip, they actually make casings for lithium-ion batteries there. They've been doing it for a bunch of years, doing that type of work. And then beyond that, obviously, LG Chem and GM have decided to put Ultium here, which is going to be a huge gigawatt battery factory. And so, not only regionally do I think we have all these strengths to be this Voltage Valley, this place of the future of electrification, but also beyond that, not only do we have Youngstown State, but Kent State's right down the road, but we're an hour drive from Carnegie Mellon and Case Western Reserve. We can really utilize this place as an opportunity to have people come here to collaborate and to work and to build. And really, the reasons that people came here originally, I think, are coming back around right now. And that's what I'm super excited about.
Well, it's cool because you are recruiting the brightest minds from all these areas into what is now labeled the Brite Energy Innovators. Before it was called T-Bike, and it was a Tech Belt Energy Incubator. Is that correct?
Tech Belt Energy Innovation Center.
Innovation Center, okay. Yeah. And so that, although probably tells a little bit more of a story of what you do, the name is a little, stodgy. Yeah. You're not going to come up with any cool acronyms for Brite. BEI is not, I don't know, maybe.
Somebody on our board said we should go by BEI, and I was like, just Brite's fine.
Brite is cool, yeah. And what Brite does is kind of like an umbrella of a whole litany of companies, 30 companies that you have, I think.
Yeah, in our portfolio, there's 31 right now, and varying degrees of success and coolness and new opportunities and all of that. But I could quickly explain what Brite is to you if that'd be helpful maybe for the listeners. So we're the state of Ohio's only energy-focused incubator.
Oh.
So we can work all across the state with companies no matter where they are in the state of Ohio, which is really rad. And it's really cool because I get to say things like the future of electricity flows through Warren, Ohio.
That's cool.
And so when I'm out and I'm, consulting with a company in Cincinnati to try to help them move forward, they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm wearing a Warren, Ohio t-shirt. Where do you think I'm from?"
He actually is wearing a Warren, Ohio t-shirt right now.
I just thought that was a random t-shirt. That's your work shirt.
Yeah, this was literally my work shirt.
Uniform.
I got some stories about this shirt and all the places that it's been. That's been really rad. But so, we really pride ourselves on doing three things really well. So first and foremost, we help early stage energy companies innovate and grow. We do that through mentorship. So it's really like that side is an entrepreneur in residence. So we'll sit down with an entrepreneur in the energy space that has a scalable company. So those get a little bit more specific, right? Because we don't want to say, hey, I can't help the local restaurant. That's not my background. I don't know what they need help, especially right now, but that's not my place.
Right.
I can help energy companies, and I can help scalable companies. So I know how to scale companies. So that's an aspect of what we do. And like I said, we do that all over the state.
Now, when you say scale, for those of us dummies out there like myself, you're talking about taking it from like soup to nuts, A to Z. Mm-hmm. It's a small company, and this is where it can be in 3 to 5 years with a business plan and, some funding and, tutelage and that kind of stuff.
Correct. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then as soon as it actually hits like normal processes and stuff, I usually get out because I can't stand that stuff. It gets super boring to me.
How long does some of those companies stay in the incubator, for lack of better terms? Like, it's still an incubator, right?
Yeah, so, from staying in the incubator, it really varies because obviously, like when our companies do extremely well, we still want to get their metrics, right?
Sure.
And most of them say, oh my gosh, like if it wasn't for Brite or T-Bike at the time, like we would have never been here, which is awesome. But yeah, we usually try to keep our companies around for less than 5 years is the goal, as far as when we stop giving services to them. It usually seems like by the end of that, they've either made it or they haven't. And we like to focus our expertise and our energy.
Sure.
You can't see me going this.
Yeah, right.
You can't see me air quoting around
quoting,
energy.
Right.
Around that. So yeah, and another thing too that's different between us and other organizations is like we have this amazing, beautiful building in downtown Warren. It's super, super rad. I almost said the F word.
You can say the F word.
It is effing rad.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's effing rad.
It's effing rad. And with a bunch of beautiful windows and a great view of Courthouse Square. But like our goal isn't to like take over a downtown or like have a bunch of buildings and stuff like that. Like I want my companies to come into our building and then get the F out as soon as they can so they can start paying taxes in the city of Warren or in the state
You're
of
like
Ohio.
a parent. You want to teach the kid to be able to be self-sustainable, get out of my house, go live in your own space, earn your own keep, and take care of yourself and grow. And then start your own foundation, your own family, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's something that's really, really important to us is to graduate those companies and get them out into the marketplace because that's what this is all about. It's about job creation. It's about helping people, get out of poverty into wealth. It's about being able to raise our tax base. These are all things that we've been struggling at for many, many years. I mean, how many people? It's like 3 people a day still move away from the Mahoning Valley. That's insane to me, especially when these have these opportunities. So
how does let's just hypothetical for a second. I want to start a company to research the use of, and this is non-green, okay? So this is maybe not something but we'll just kind of like a hypothetical.
Yeah.
I want to start a company that uses waste products to combust and uses to trap the heat to drive a turbine to create energy to store it in one of these lithium-ion battery cells or casings or whatever. I come to you with this idea, and let's just hypothetically, that's probably a goofy idea, or I don't know.
I've heard similar ideas. So.
Okay, so it's maybe not that
completely goofy.
But is there anybody over there that's doing that?
I don't think there's anybody in our portfolio right now that's doing
All right, so there may be hope for me. Or maybe
there's 3 people going to be over there like, I guess he doesn't really like us. Why don't we get the hell out of the Mahoning Valley? There's 3 of us here. We're out of here.
Well, it's probably because the idea is not very sustainable or scalable. But I go to you with this idea. Do I come to you with the idea, or do I go to somebody else, or how? And then walk us through just that intro process. Some companies out there listening in Honduras, they speak English. They go, oh, Warren sounds like a cool place. He lives across the thing. Your back door is actually cooler because it opens up into Dave Grohl Alley, where Modern Methods is, our favorite beer. Sounds like a cool place. I want to talk to this guy, Rick. How does he do it?
Yeah, man. So, got a cool story about Dave Grohl Alley too later in the podcast, but certainly one of the coolest things about this place. But, anyways, to answer that question, so we always ask, go to brite.org, brite.org, and if you want to be in a company that applies, go through the application process, because you can reach out to me and I'm going to tell you to go to that. Because from our perspective, we don't want to waste companies' time. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. We're a founder-first organization, and we know how hard it is. Most everybody in our company, in our organization, has founded companies before, and we don't want to waste anybody's time. So we ask you to go through that, do the application process. That way I know who you should talk to, because if it's a highly technical project and you need technical help, I'm going to send my CTO, Bill Wittenberger, to you, and he's going to be your main EIR. That's another cool thing. It's just Bill Wittenberger, this dude, I think, I don't know, he's in his 50s or 60s, but he's sold 2 or 3 companies, right? Guy's got like crazy white hair, and, most recently sold his company to Johnson Matthey. Guy grew up on a farm in Columbiana County, now lives in Leavittsburg, has like 70 patents in fuel cell catalysis.
Whoa.
Just won Lifetime Achievement Award for the Ohio Fuel Cell Coalition. Like, this dude is absolutely amazing, and just like in our backyard here in the Mahoning Valley.
That's awesome.
So
maybe you can hook us up and we can have him on.
Yeah, he's got some stories. Like,
I just want to see his Doc Brown hair.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, me too.
It's awesome. I think he's in the space today. But so Bill's
you've
amazing.
got specialists that you can turn people on to.
Yeah, and so he runs our lab. And our lab is, one of the only labs in the area in the state of Ohio that is focused on energy storage, IoT products, so the Internet of Things, sensors that sense things, and then takes that data and gives it to the Internet, and then the Internet makes it. That's as low as I can describe that. I think.
Yeah, that's cool.
Helps you make decisions.
Well, you were saying about sensors earlier, like these sensors are important because they can detect dangers within lithium-ion batteries that say, hey, this battery's unstable. People seen videos of like phones blowing up.
Yeah.
If you have a storage container in your house that's a battery-powered thing, you don't want that thing nuking on you.
Yep. Yeah, and so we actually have a company that does just that and just sold to Honeywell, which is a really rad product. So to go back, so we've got Bill, who's really strong on the technical side, and our lab. Also, quickly plug, we just received a $50,000 grant from Wells Fargo and the National Renewable Energy Lab. That is $36,000 of that is going to go to companies to be able to do free testing in our lab, especially ones that were affected by COVID-19, because we don't want to see COVID-19 slow down the future of energy technology. So we're out there trying to provide free grants to companies that want to do some testing here and have an idea that they can put forward. On the other side of that, from business development, we've got Jeff Rockwood. He's our VP of Tech Acceleration, another company founder, really, really smart in the IoT space, but really business development guy. Like, few people understand how to build your market and really be able to sell in a meaningful way than Jeff, and he has a ton of experience in that space. And then they let me help you with fundraising, which is crazy, but it's something that's a passion of mine that I've had a lot of success with in the past. And the rest of our team, we really are built around Sarah Doherty. She's our director of operations. None of this thing would work without Sarah. She keeps us all running in the same way. And extremely analytical.
So you got like a Avengers-like team of business development, funding, tech people, daily operations people, and they get together and I'm just spitballing here. They review this application that someone's put online, and if you're accepted, then what happens? Do they move into the tech belt? I keep saying tech belt.
Don't say that.
Yeah, into Brite.
I had to do 10 push-ups. I actually did it.
So we rebranded it.
No, we rebranded it in September. It's not so I can stop saying it, so other people stop saying it.
Yeah.
Because when people would say T-bike or tech belt in front of me, I'd be like, I got to do 10 push-ups, and then they feel bad, and they never forget that
Get
I
down.
did that.
Start doing it.
I
Get
will.
to it.
As soon
We'll count
as
them out
this
for
is
you.
over, I don't want to have to take off my
All I
headphones.
did was fill out my application. I got to do push-ups now? What? I just want to know, can I come here?
Yeah, no. So Yeah, as far as that's concerned, and staying on, so we get the application. We'll do an introduction talk with you with kind of the right people on our team. You don't have to relocate here or locate in the space. We'll help you. As long as you're in the state of Ohio, we'll help you out. And then once we give you some time from that perspective, we'll see if you're ready to be in our portfolio where we really kind of dig in with you and help you, whether it's around fundraising or those lab things.
Do you help people hire? Do you help, what are some of the nuts and bolts of it?
Yeah. So a lot of it comes from the early stage aspect of it is, building your finance model, making sure that you understand your customer discovery. That's probably the biggest thing that I make companies do on a daily basis is really customer discovery. Like, have you talked to 100 potential customers about your product, and have they given you feedback about how are you going to build this thing and what's the price point that's going to make sense? Because so many times I get people who are like, I got the greatest idea ever. I'm like, that is a great idea.
But you can't sell it.
But you can't sell it. Mm-hmm. A lot of science projects.
I don't mean to interrupt this right now. Is this buzzing coming in here? Do you hear this?
Yeah, hold on. No, it's...
Is it on the show?
No, it's outside. It's outside.
Oh, okay.
There's something, I heard it too. I
just didn't want to have a whole show with that buzz.
Yeah.
It's not in the show. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, we'll cut it. Yeah, it's cool. Good question. I was wondering the same thing. I think it's just amplified because of these. It'll be...
Yeah. Plus, if there's a dead spot, you should be able to cut it and
where are we going to pick back up?
Cut it and match.
We were at...
we just got through how do you apply. Mm-hmm. I think I answered it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you... Oh, okay. So really kind of what you're getting, Rick, are mad scientists. It's like people who want to open a video company. I mean, I want to make, artists. How are you going to make money being art? We always talk about that. You're actually dealing with, Brandon put it best, Doc Brown type characters who've got a great idea, but don't know how to wrap a business around that. Mm-hmm. Market it, hire, do the research. I mean, some of those points you brought up.
And have the tools.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's expensive to have these, to get somebody to test it.
Yep.
And what I was watching on your promo videos, you have so many things down there that is right at your leisure that I wouldn't be able to afford if I'm just trying to afford to get here to begin with.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Space and internet and infrastructure and things of that nature.
Yep.
Now, what kind of business is an energy business? Is that do you have a top 5, these are not the type of businesses that we use, and the top 5 of what you should have?
Yeah, so energy is a pretty wide ranging thing, and so we're always trying to kind of pare that down into something meaningful. So energy storage is really the first part. So energy storage consists of batteries. The batteries is the best way to describe that. So battery companies. So whether it's Octet Scientific that does zinc air batteries, which is a pretty rad additive into zinc batteries, or lithium ion that we're talking about consistently in the space. Also, we have a lot of fuel cell companies. So, there's SPS that we work with on a regular basis. A new company that's just coming out called Power to Hydrogen, which is an absolute game changer. Or if it's the hydrogen fuel cell car company founded by Angelo Cafanteris called Hyperion Motors. Hydrogen fuel cell space is pretty important to us. Beyond that, we also work in energy efficiency. So that's where you get a lot of the IoT products, a lot of the sensor products that are looking at different applications regarding energy efficiency when it comes to buildings. So there's a lot of HVAC companies and stuff like that work in that space. And then that's really, other than a brewery, which is probably my favorite client company.
Modern Methods is under the Brite umbrella.
They are. So we love them, and we love having them in our building. A big aspect of why I felt it was so important that we have a brewery is when you're an entrepreneur, and you guys are entrepreneurs, absolutely, right? So you have that day, right, where you make a huge sale and you want to go downstairs and have a beer and have somebody to share that with, right? And then there's 95% of the other days where you need to go downstairs and have a beer. So that's something that, I saw in a lot of different incubators across the country as I was doing research around this, that it was just the social aspect of entrepreneurship. And I think when you go back to and you ask what kind of services we provide and how is that helpful, like I find myself being a psychiatrist, I think, or a social worker, and being a shoulder to cry on and a person to celebrate with more often than anything else that we do.
Sure.
It's really like somebody calling me at 10 o'clock at night and being like, I think I'm screwed, and me being like, no, dude.
You're okay.
This is going to be fine. We'll work through it. That sucks, but let's keep going forward. Or the times when I have to go like, yeah, no, you're done.
Either way, that's a great place to meet at Modern Methods. Let me buy a beer on your way out, or let me buy a beer to celebrate your win. Modern Methods probably a good model too, mainly for the fact that it is a modern facility to brew beer. And Adam's kind of a mad scientist himself.
He certainly is.
Evolve or be extinct. This is a theory of mine. Not it's the theory of mine. It's the theory of many people's. Okay, right?
Nope. Jim Fogarty made it up.
I made it.
Nobody else has heard of it.
I am going to make the T-shirt though. Evolve or be extinct. This is. My dad said years ago, talk about electric, which is a good thing. He worked at Packard Electric before it was Delphi Automotive, and they made, wiring harnesses and things of that nature. So we've always been...
Now it's Aptiv.
Yeah, we've always been like electric-based, right?
Yeah.
So now this is kind of a cool thing that fits into the guise of what we're doing, and that if you don't evolve, you're over with. So my dad said years ago, hey, Jim, what are you going to do when you're done? Oh, I don't know. I'll get a job with blah, blah, blah. And he would say, go to college, go get educated, go do something that you love, because I'm a dinosaur. These jobs are getting, and we just kind of wrap that around. We all have families who, this area was based in one industry for the most part, push most of the chips in there, and now we're diversifying. And you are helping the economy, both locally and nationally, evolve. But here's what's, I think, is cool in the conversation that I think we need to have, or that I want you to talk about. People moving from other parts of the country here to this neck of the woods because we can draw from, you had mentioned Carnegie Mellon, some of the YSU and some of the educational institutions, the location to trucking, right? And also quality of life, brewery, cheap housing, et cetera, et cetera. You had a company, Petropower, that moved from Arizona. What do they do in that space, as kind of Brandon had alluded to or asked about? Like, what is their energy-specific stuff? And how are you helping to bring people in from outside areas, to our little town of Warren, Ohio? Yeah,
man. So Petropower is fantastic. Solid oxide fuel cell company. They're really, they're focused on the APUs for trucks.
What does that mean? APUs? We're dummies over here, man.
I know.
Just speak to us like we're monkeys.
All right. So
that's what we are.
Refrigeration truck.
Okay.
You have to let it sit and idle with the diesel engine running if you want to keep it cold at night. So if you go ship something overnight, like you got to keep that running whether you turn the truck off or not. That runs off the regular engine. So basically what they're trying to do is really focus on how do you keep that refrigerator unit on without having to run a diesel engine the entire time. Okay. So especially like in places like California and New York and other places around the country, there's anti-idling laws. Like you can't run it overnight like that. So what happens? You end up losing some product or something like that.
Because they don't want you burning gas.
Correct. It's super bad for the environment.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's heard that.
Not just because they don't like you. It's bad for the environment.
Yeah, like it's super bad. Like don't idle your cars or your lawnmowers.
So how are they innovating to do that? Sunlight? Like what are they?
So it's a fuel cell. So solid oxide fuel cell, and they're doing the research and development on that in our lab. But I think the story that's one of the most important ones that I get to tell and talk about, right, is I've got these guys. The one is from Arizona, and the other one is getting his doctorate degree at Princeton right now. So I bring them to Warren, Ohio, this place that they've never heard of, never been. I was doing research on NASA technology, right, and these guys that are about college age, like licensed this NASA technology for this solid oxide fuel cell to do this. So I'm like, I'll just shoot you an email. Like, that sounds cool and something we could help with because our CTO is, one of the foremost thinkers on fuel cells. And so they're like, yeah, we'll come to Warren. And I'm like, Sweet. Crap. Like, what do I do when they get here? So they come in the space, and I'm showing off the space and being like, yeah, we've got co-working, and we've got like private offices, and we have this beautiful lab, and there's modern methods. And then like I take them outside, right? And, walk outside, and it's Dave Grohl Alley. And one guy's like, oh, Dave Grohl, like, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Heck yeah, it is, man.
Yeah.
You could have said, that sucks. You'd be like, heck yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, heck yeah. Like, that guy's horrible. No, so then we walk out, and we go in to Beautiful World, and, they get a smoothie or something. They're like, man, this is like cool stuff. And then like we walk over to Nova to grab a coffee, and like we do a pour over. Or no, I think had them do a siphon, like a crazy fancy coffee.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, man, like this is really good. Like this is cool. And like at the time, I think the Lime Tree was still open, and so like we went there and had some sandwiches, and they're like, man, there's like a artisan sandwich. I don't even know what artisan means, but so like they're here, and they're in downtown Warren, and they're having the time of their life, and like they've never been here before, and like they think that this place is super effing rad.
It is super effing rad.
And like so like that really struck me about how important place actually is. And I can have the best incubator in the country for energy, and I really believe in many ways that we're climbing that list. But one of the main reasons why it's becoming that is because of the city that we're in. And one of the things that I always get asked is like, why the hell is the only energy incubator in the state of Ohio in Warren, Ohio? Why isn't it in Columbus or Cleveland? And my answer usually is like, well, why was the first flight in, around Dayton, Ohio? Like some really hard-working people that like worked to put something together that was really, really important. And it didn't matter where it was. It mattered that the people cared about it and the people were able to own it. And innovation can happen anywhere. And so why not Warren, Ohio?
I love that, dude.
Yeah, so it's so cool to be in this town. And I know we don't want to focus just on like the coolness of downtown Warren, but like I think it's being somewhat an outsider, as I said, I grew up outside of Salem. Seeing folks here that are like, oh, Warren sucks, there's nothing to do. And I'm just like, guys, like, I don't think you know how good you have it. Like there's a downtown that's super walkable, that's got like really rad stuff, and there's always something able to go on, and like it's just cool. And don't get me wrong, Warren also has certain very real problems, but that's part of the character, and like that's part of the importance of it, to know that like we've struggled, we've done some stuff, we've been some places, and that's why like I'd be in Warren over Columbus, Ohio any day, because Columbus has no character whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I have a buddy that lives down there, and he doesn't want to move. He lives in a certain part of Columbus, which is close to the university, in an older house, and he doesn't want to move to the nicer. He works for BMW, so he makes nice cash, and his wife has a beautiful. They make a lot of money, but he doesn't want to move out into like the suburb areas because it's very, And I'm not knocking those. I have some friends that live in those areas too. Warren is not like that. Warren is like what you just said. It's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of grit. And part of what you mentioned, every time you said one of those places, like Beautiful World, I pictured Clint and Mary.
Yep.
You talk about Nova, I picture John and
Logan,
and you picture any of these places, the Speakeasy. Now you're talking about Jack. I mean, these people who have a dream that come hell or high water, they are going to make happen in this area to support endeavors that are like yours. So a seed falls into the crack of the cement and gets watered, and somehow finds dirt and finds its root structure and grows. And it's not in a beautiful field flourished by all this wonderful minerals and rich soil. It's just in a crack of a thing, and it comes up and it's a beautiful flower.
Yep.
That's what Brite Energy Innovators is to me, right? We're moving out of the past and into the future, and that's where we are at right now. Yeah. And you've had a lot of great support, I know, locally from from our elected officials and through grant money and through things of that nature. And they know who you are, but a lot of people do not locally. And I think if more people knew that this future movement, and it's not even, it's happening right now. We're in the future right now.
Right.
This future movement is starting, in a sense, or parts of it are starting right in Warren, Ohio, with my man Rick Stockburger.
On the broadcast.
Man, on the podcast.
We even had a politician on the show.
Yeah.
But we got the man right now.
Yeah. Oh,
He's like, we had a politician, and we got the man.
Yeah.
You are
yeah.
the man.
Yeah, something like that. No, but what I also think is cool and a huge opportunity that people have in places like Warren, Ohio is, I mean, it's not, for the most part, a bunch of 60-year-old dudes like doing stuff. Like, there's an opportunity for young people right now in this city to like own something and do something.
It's cheap.
Yeah. Like, you know, at
Let's
the end
use
of
the
day,
term affordable.
yeah.
It's affordable.
It's affordable. No, it's something that, like, I think young people can have a dream and go do something. Like, I view this city in many ways as a whiteboard, and you know, it's got a lot of scars in it and marks in it, and maybe it's more like a chalkboard.
I like whiteboard better.
Yeah.
It's cool. Cleaner.
Yeah, but like we have all these opportunities that like we can, as younger folks, you know, really like draw on and build our own thing and create our own future and be a part of that. And so like from Brite's perspective, and especially like what we want to do for the local community, because guess what? Not everybody's going to start an energy company. Like it's
Right.
not the lowest barrier to entry type of thing. But we have co-working. So like right out front in our space, like it's $5 a day. You get like 200 meg internet, super fast. You know, and so like that's something that we want to see more people starting companies utilize. And there is office space that is absolutely open to anybody that wants to utilize it to be a part of the future in that space. So like for full-time co-working, I think it's like $100 a month that you get access to the building 24/7. We do a background check so you don't steal shit.
And it's a secured building. I mean,
also we have a lot of cameras and like, but beyond that, like you get 24/7 access, and like what we see a lot of is just like up and coming people that say, hey, they might have a sales meeting. They want to look like they have a real office.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
We have, you know, really nice conference rooms and stuff like that, you know, you're there and it's usually somebody at the front door that welcomes a guest in and says, oh, hey, you know.
You're here to see Jim Fogarty today.
Right. Yeah. And so, he'll meet you in conference room too. And so like, you know, there's that aspect of it that I think is just super important when it comes to the barrier of entry to start a business. It's just like, oh, I need to get an office. It's like, no, you don't really need to get an office. Like, you need to do whatever's cheap as possible. You might not be able to be successful at home because maybe you have kids or something like that. And that's where, like, for me, where I fell in love with co-working, because it was right after my daughter was born, and I had founded my second company and was looking to do something else, and I was working at my home office and playing with my newborn baby girl, and I was just like, I just want to play with her. Like, this is way cooler than work. And I like saw like 2 weeks of my life just like go away, doing something that I absolutely loved and should have been doing, and like parenting and like all
we
that.
We talk about this all the time.
But like I couldn't separate, and so I was like, I need to go get an office. And I was looking for offices in downtown Akron, and it was just like, I don't have any revenue. How am I supposed to pay $800 a month for an office space? Like, that doesn't work. And so I had just stumbled across, like, Googling it, this co-working space, and I went and checked it out, and I was like, I'm a social person, like, and I like to work, and I like to work around other people, but, like, my company right now has 0 employees, so I get to like have a shared experience with coworkers that like I love and adore, and get to go like, hey, let's take a walk, or let's go, throw the Frisbee or throw the football or something outside for a little bit to take a break, or maybe play Magic the Gathering, which I did a lot of there, you know. So like that's kind of the process of it. So that's what we hope at Brite is like, yeah, obviously we're going to help create scalable energy companies that are going to kick butt and create jobs and, you know, help the region in that. But, you know, from a building standpoint, like we want to help the local guy, girl, anybody come in and be able to just like lower that barrier of entry just a little bit.
Creating an atmosphere for people to have an atmosphere that can't afford it otherwise. That's awesome.
Yep.
And being next to you, I never knew that you did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I could have used, you know, I could have used you before I got the office. And yeah, and then you never know who you're going to run into, though.
Right.
So you may not be part of that energy field, but you might overhear something. You run into someone. You're not going to run into anybody at your house. That might give you an opportunity.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean?
True that.
Yeah, no, and it's like we had this guy co-working. He was going to grad school at Syracuse online, and so like he would come in and co-work because he's just like I can't do my grad school work, and then he ended up getting like his first job at one of our startup companies, and so like it was just like cool because we've got companies in there that are always hiring and doing stuff and always hiring freelance work, and so it's a pretty rad environment.
Well, talking about having opportunities and being here in the Rust Belt, now soon to be known as Voltage Valley, thanks to Lordstown Motors CEO. Let's talk about Lordstown Motors for a second, because they are one of your clients.
Yeah. Yep.
And they are getting ready to release here in the next couple weeks. I think June 22nd is the big day that they're going to release the, what's the truck called?
Endurance.
The Endurance. Like, have you seen this truck, Brandon?
Oh, yeah.
I think it looks dope. I'm not really a truck guy, but I honestly, I was looking at it last night because I like to read notes ahead of time, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about today.
I think they should have RoboCop as as the
Yeah.
I'm like, call that dude. Yeah.
He gets out of it, and right. Yeah, it looks super cool. It looks like futuristic, and I don't typically like that kind of like, but it looks tough and cool. And I was reading, of course they're doing the fleet truck, and you mentioned Hyperion Motors, that is, I think, a partner company with Ford.
No, Hyperion's on their own.
Oh, Hyperion's on their own. Did they get startup capital from Ford? Did I read that? Maybe I read that wrong.
No, their startup capital came from Wild Capital in Columbus.
Okay. So Lordstown Motors, though, they are now in the old General Motors space out in Lordstown, and they're getting ready to release this truck or preview this truck. And I think when they do it, you can put some money down to be one of the first people that gets one of these trucks if you're not like a fleet owner.
Yep.
The trucks go 200 miles on a battery. Now, that's not very far, but these are for...
I don't know, 200 miles is kind of far.
Well, in comparison. Some of the other ones are like 400 miles, whatever. 200 miles is great unless
For
you're
the
going to like...
average EV, are you talking about EV or are you talking about ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles?
Well, I'm just talking about driving in general, to the point where if I wanted to go to Bowling Green, where I went to college, it's about 150 miles one way, so that's a 300-mile round trip. If I went there and back, I wouldn't be able to do it without a charge.
Yeah.
So I was looking up, I promise there's a question here.
It's okay.
I was looking up, like, if I bought this vehicle and I wanted to do that, how would I do that? And if I needed to refuel or recharge, where could I do that? So I started looking up, like, man, where are all these there's so many charging stations across the United States, right? Some of them are level 1, some of them are level 2, and some of them are level 3. The level 1s are like runs off your AC power from your house.
Yep.
Level 2, what we have in the parking deck back here.
Yep.
So explain that to the people, because I'm curious about this myself. Explain it to me. What did you guys bring that charging station here? That's part of one of your things, and tell us about that for those, if someone's driving across country in an EV vehicle, they can charge up here.
Yeah, man. So that's something we're super lucky to partner with First Energy on. So partnership between us and First Energy, and we really saw the kind of infrastructure problem that we're going to have here is absolutely, when you talk about EVs, is like, at the end of the day, it's the chicken and the egg. Like
EV,
electric vehicles. Thank you for slowing me down.
Yep,
I appreciate it.
I did it for Brandon.
No.
Yeah. So obviously, like, there's an infrastructure problem, right? Or where can you charge and all of that stuff. If you actually like go online, look at the Tesla network, there's superchargers really all over the country in a very meaningful way. And then ours in our parking lot's a charge point tester. So it's rad if you have a charge point app. Warren, Ohio comes up on that app. So you're driving down Route 80 and you're like, oh, I need to stop somewhere to charge. Well, we've had a couple people that stop and charge, and they come downtown to Warren, Ohio, and it takes 2 to 3 hours to get a full charge. And so they're able to come downtown, go to the comic book store, and go grab a bite to eat and lunch and get off the highway for that. But this is actually the first public electric vehicle charger in the Mahoning Valley.
Oh, cool.
So that's actually absolutely open to the public. Right now it's free of charge. So letting people utilize it for free, and we're paying for the electricity for it, just because we want to see what the usage is like and see if we can get people downtown. So that's absolutely something that's going to have to be overcome. But I think as we're seeing the proliferation of more electric vehicles, that's absolutely happening. A report just came out for Q1 on auto sales. Tesla's Model 3 was the top-selling car in near luxury. So, like, the EV revolution is absolutely coming.
It's happening right
now. You
now.
talk about,
Yeah.
you want to be in the future. Like, Daimler Chrysler is not researching internal combustion engines anymore. They just know that EVs are the future. Now, there may be an argument between, like, hydrogen fuel cell and battery electric vehicles as to what might end up winning from that, because batteries are heavy.
Explain that to people that don't know the difference, like me.
Yeah. So basically, there's two different ways to make electricity for cars right now. So it's either through a hydrogen fuel cell or it's through a battery. So a battery is just like, any battery that you know that you may have. Hydrogen fuel cell, basically, you put hydrogen into the gas tank, and then it changes the hydrogen into electricity. So you can fill up, basically. So that's the cool part about it, is you can say, hey, I want to fill the tank up with hydrogen. It takes 2 minutes, just like a normal gas tank. Hydrogen in many ways can go a lot further. It's just also the other side of that coin is like the Hindenburg was filled with hydrogen.
And what's the emission for hydrogen?
It's electric, same thing.
So it's nothing. And so EV, nothing as well.
Yep.
Now, the big argument's always been like, well, wait a second.
Lithium takes, it's not good.
Yeah. And then.
What do you do with the battery after? What did it take to harvest that?
Well, that too,
lithium?
but how did they create the energy? So, we just burned coal, or we just did whatever so that we could use that to pipe in the electricity for the battery.
Yeah, interestingly enough, in 66% of the world, and I mean the whole world, renewable energy is now cheaper than fossil fuels.
Boom.
For production. 66% of the world. And that's going to continue going forward and getting more and more cheaper for renewables. And the idea behind that, and just the thought of it, and why America needs to lead in that, is absolutely just basic, like, supply and demand, right? Mm-hmm. How much sun is there or wind is there compared to how much coal is there?
Mm-hmm. Well,
coal's going to run out eventually. The sun.
You're always going to have some sun and wind.
You better.
We're all done. We're not going to care about driving.
So when you look at it from that perspective, you go, okay, well, we've been investing in coal and different types of energy from that perspective for hundreds of years now. We haven't been investing until the last 20 years into how do we utilize renewables in a meaningful way. So now that we're making those technological advancements, that's an opportunity for us to be able to get renewables cheaper. And that's what it's about. And that's really what I talk about to most of my friends on either side of the political aisle. It's just like, this is about creating jobs, and this is about economics. At the end of the day, like, tell me global warming is not real. That's fine. I don't care. This is about the economics of this. Mm-hmm. This is going to be cheaper and create jobs. This is what we want to do in America.
Yeah. Listen to that out there. It's happening now. 66%. Mm-hmm. Man, dude, that's awesome. The evolution of fuel cells, whether they are or EV or hydrogen, whether they're electric or lithium ion or hydrogen, is happening now. Mm-hmm. Where do you lean? Do you like the hydrogen thing better because it's a power plant within the car, like almost like similar to the internal combustion engine? I don't know the science of it, but I mean more of that vein rather than it's holding a battery.
Yeah, and I have companies on both sides of that.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say whatever ends up being the safest and the cheapest is going to win. But so, when it comes to hydrogen, though, at the same time, all of the buses in the city of Canton are operated on hydrogen fuel cells. So it's not like this technology is like still where it was when the Hindenburg exploded.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah. These are real things. And a lot of the hydrogen research actually comes from NASA. So they utilize hydrogen fuel cells all the time in spaceships and other things. So like it is much safer and very safe in many ways, comparatively. It's really at the end of the day, part of its infrastructure. Once again, so like how are you going to get hydrogen to the to the cars? How are you going to make that? And so we have a couple companies that are working on that in a pretty meaningful way. And then there's also the utility aspect of it. If you talk to Dominion Energy, they're going to tell you their 3 top priorities as a utility is hydrogen, hydrogen, and hydrogen. If you talk to First Energy, they're going to tell you our top 3 priorities are not hydrogen, and not hydrogen.
So maybe it's a Coke or Pepsi choice.
Yeah.
It's what's your preferences, and like you said, maybe what's safer.
Yep.
Speaking about what's safe, just to jump the gun a little bit, you have a company over there called Intertwine Connect, or Intwine. I'm sorry, not Intertwine. Intwine Connect, and I was asking you about it a little bit. They're also involved in these fuel cells?
No. So Intwine is a sensor company, but real rad thing about them, there's actually only been 2 to 3 operating companies in the country that have accepted Opportunity Zone investment, which is a really rad piece of legislation. It's super helpful from the investor side. So if you have a good investment deal, it makes a good investment deal a great investment deal. But that is focused on you can only invest in places that have been deemed opportunity zones, like downtown Warren.
Oh, that's cool.
So the company has to stay there. So they were able to get that investment. So Intwine is really cool, they're in the sensor space. So they're doing some very interesting things around cooling, so keeping sensors on in basically like restaurants, so in like the refrigerators, so I left the door open or something like that. They can test that remotely and then give you a call basically saying, hey, the freezer's open, or the electricity went out or something like that, so to save your stuff. But beyond that, they're really taking that in a meaningful direction around response to COVID-19 and other things. So they can take their gateway and put different sensors in, so making sure people have checked their temperature when they come into work, or making sure that people are washing their hands regularly, and there's sensors around that. So it's a really, really cool gateway. And then it also goes into building efficiency and managing the energy and all of that good stuff. So real rad company, like I said, growing extremely quickly, and we're opening another fundraising round for them. So it's really exciting too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about in the energy space? I forget who it was. And Intwine sounds super cool, but there was one Intwine's having a lot of success, I guess was my point. Yep. And then you're having another company that's having a lot of success too.
Yeah, so Lion Tamer is a subsidiary of Nexaris, real cool company. They're based out of Columbus. They were just acquired by Honeywell. So that's a sensor that's basically listens to a lithium-ion battery to be able to see if it's off-gassing, which is something that happens before an imminent explosion.
That's when they puff
like
up, right?
Yeah.
You start seeing them puff up.
Yeah, so it can sense that like hours before that happens. So
that would have been cool back in the day when we were charging video equipment or stuff for aerials, and you're blowing batteries up.
Yeah, well, that's something that's really interesting right now, right? So one of the companies that we work with takes like those like 4D camera of like high-end $1 million cameras, and they shoot like professional sports with them, but there's only a couple of them, so like they have to drive all over or fly all over the country with these cameras, right? But you can't put lithium-ion batteries in storage containers in aircrafts.
Oh.
So they have to ship the batteries on the ground because they can't fly the batteries unless they fly them in specific cargo ships that are way too expensive. So this product, they can put it on that, and so it actually could potentially make that FDA compliant, or FTA, the flight people.
We got you.
Compliant.
Make it compliant. That's cool. You also have another one. I was asking about, because sometimes we see some men in black, and I was saying, like, hey, dude, what's going on with this? Dun, dun, dun. You have a company that's got a contract with the DoD?
Yeah, so we actually have several companies in our portfolio that do work with the Air Force, Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and others. And our testing lab is also utilized for different aspects of the federal government and helping them move their mission forward. So, yep.
So when that happened, did you have to get security clearance for that DoD contract?
So fortunately, I played Army for about 8 years, so I already had one.
Boom.
Nice.
Rick, you were a combat vet?
I am. Yeah. I am very proud.
Yeah. We were talking beforehand. You saw a lot of action in Kosovo.
Afghanistan, but I wasn't. I was deployed to Kosovo as well. So, yep. Yeah, no, that was a really formative time in my life. It was something I joined right after 9/11, right after I graduated high school, we were able to do a lot of different things. I was able to be the first boots on ground for Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans.
Oh, that's cool.
So we cleared that. Cool.
You're a fucking real American hero. Yeah, dude. Seriously.
Yeah. So did a year in Kosovo, did a year in Afghanistan. And our Afghan mission was very interesting as we went and trained Hungarian units to go train Afghan special forces. So we were combat mentors in northern Afghanistan at the time. So there was like 20 some Americans in all of northern Afghanistan. We saw a lot of combat. The thing that I'm most proud of is we oversaw the elections in 2009, which was a very, very bloody couple of weeks. But to see the pride on those folks' face, really the first time that they felt like they had a free and fair election, was amazing. And it just really instilled in me how lucky we are in this country to be able to go vote and not get shot at. It's just when you see the rest of the world and you see how lucky we are, it's interesting. But to build on that story, it's actually meant a lot to me. And when I was leaving Afghanistan, I saw a video, or I was reading a newspaper, kid in Detroit, and he had his foot amputated due to exposure. So a homeless kid in Detroit, he was like 4 years old. And I was like coming back from Afghanistan reading this thing, and I was just like, man, like I got to do something. And I don't know what something is, but like, I got to get out of the Army, and I got to help, this region and this place that I love so much, this Rust Belt, because like I'd just been to third world countries and like, yeah, that shit happens, but like that shit shouldn't happen in America. Like that's not okay. So me and my buddy, who was a filmmaker at the time, got together and said, hey, we're gonna save some cities. We're going to do it, and we have no idea what we're going to do, but we're going to do it. And so I did what I've always done and found people that were way smarter than me and started asking questions. I usually like to be on your side of the mic. So we ended up in Cleveland, and it was in 2010, and really started asking some questions. And then the other thing I knew how to do was throw a party. Found this old abandoned flower shop and invited all of the people that were running for Cuyahoga County Executive, because they were switching from commissioner to executive, and invited them over and said, hey, we got some young professionals that like care about the city, because Forbes magazine just came out with an article that said Cleveland's the most miserable city in the country. And we're like, screw it. Why the fuck are we the most miserable city in the country? Like, have you been here? Like, I am not miserable.
Forbes.
Yeah, like I am not miserable. This place is awesome. Like it's so we expect 15 people to show up, right? And 200 people show up.
Nice.
Including the Atlantic. And we had named our company Saving Cities, and it was a media company focused on urban revitalization in the Rust Belt.
Super cool.
And yeah, so like the first thing that we did was throw this party, and we had whiteboards on the wall, and people were writing their ideas on like what we could do and why they were proud of their place and like all of that. So the Atlantic wrote an article, Saving Cities Solves the Rust Belt Brain Drain. So if you were worried about it, we figured it out in 2010. It's done. They wrote an article. I'm being extremely facetious. We still haven't figured that out. And so we founded a media company, went around, and we thought we were going to tell the story of cities, right? And like, so we went to Detroit and St. Louis, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. I was homeless for 2 weeks, living in the back of a truck. with me and a couple of my buddies, and and when we went to these cities and we tried to find these people that are just like you, Jim, and care just so passionately about their cities, we realized it's not about the places, it's about the people in the places. And so we got to tell that story, feature-length documentary called Red, White, and Blueprints, a grassroots guide to saving our cities.
Nice.
And
writing that down.
We won awards and stuff. It's
Red,
super
White,
weird.
and Blueprints.
Yep. Yeah, so...
where can people see it?
I think you can go to Amazon and order it. It was a super, and all credit goes to my co-founder Jack. It would have never got done without him. But yeah, and that was kind of first company that I was a part of, and it was about telling other people's stories. And I realized the power of that, and the power of place, and like the power of having a meaningful connection. That like when you go somewhere, somebody welcomes you, and you have an experience, and that experience is what makes that place important. And that's what comes back full circle to, me having Philip and Aaron from Petra Power here, and like trying to show them this place that's cool and could be in Chicago or it could be in Columbus or any of these other places, but it's here. It's in Warren, Ohio. And when they went and met Clint and Mary at Beautiful World and Logan at Nova, like they had an experience with people that gave a shit, and that's what's going to stick with people. So whether you're in Warren, Ohio or Akron, Ohio or Macon, Georgia, it's about the people that care about your place that makes your place important.
Well, I see a theme running through your life. So you signed up for the military and you helped people there. Mm-hmm. You saw a need to educate people. You became a filmmaker. You ran this media company. You're now at Brite, where the future is bright, thanks to Rick Stockburger. And you are still kind of helping people. You're kind of a shepherd. You're shepherding these ideas and these people along the way. I think that's so inspiring, and I appreciate that. I say this like, thank you for doing that, and thank you for being here and for seeing some things. And all those other people that you mentioned, Logan and all those other places, thank them too for seeing these things. And guys like Mark Marvin with the Robins and these renovations that are happening, people living in our building now, and just a really cool place and a really cool space. But the fact that you mentioned people over those things, I think that is really the thing that sets you apart. And we've all been through, and we're not, I don't think we're naive enough to think we're the only ones who've gone through struggle that have tempered us and made us stronger, right? In jiu-jitsu, they always talk about, steel sharpens steel, right? Mm-hmm. And so...
You guys do steel. The Bible, we say iron sharpens iron, so you guys made it.
There you go.
Made it stronger.
Yeah. and that's what's cool about the people is like they've had these tough times, they've been pressed up against it, and they've come out and they've used that as a growth potential. And so you're doing that by recognizing some of these entrepreneurs and startup companies and helping them shepherd them through the meddling and creation of their dreams. So that's really, really awesome. What's the future? What's the bright future of Brite? Give us a 12-month prognostication. What do you see? Oh, Nostradamus, you are, Rick.
Bright people, bright labs, bright future.
Is that your slogan?
Yeah, man. When you take bright people and you put them in a bright place, like bright shit happens. Like
nice.
There it is.
Yeah. So labs, people, future, or people, labs, future. I always put people first, and that's actually an interesting thing too. Is like when we were rebranding, the obvious choice would have been Brite Energy Incubator, right? But incubator is a thing.
Yeah.
Like innovators are people.
Nice.
And so, like, that's why it was important to me. And people were like, well, why don't you just call it the incubator? And I'm like, well, because at the end of the day, like, an incubator is an incubator. Like, we're an organization of really, really talented people, plus me. And so making sure that we stay focused on that, not only us as an organization, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so my staff is amazing. They're innovators, they're talented, but like my organization is much bigger than the staff or the place that we're in. It's because there's innovative people from all over the state of Ohio, all over the country that give a shit about the future. And so like when you talk about 12-month prognostications and stuff like that, one of my favorite things about this shirt that I'm wearing, this Warren, Ohio t-shirt, in January, I was at CES in Las Vegas, right? And
CES is the big electronics
consumer
expo.
electronics show. So largest one in the world. I'm sure a lot of COVID got spread there that we didn't know about.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Because everyone from the road goes there.
Yeah, literally everybody from the world. So I'm walking around and I've got my Warren, Ohio t-shirt on, right? And like the first person comes up to me, it's like, dude, I'm from Niles. Like, that's awesome. And I'm like, dude, that is awesome. Like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I live in San Francisco and I run this like company. I'm like, that's awesome. He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I run the state of Ohio's only energy incubator. And he's like, where is it? And I'm like, it's in Warren. And they're like, no shit. If that was there when I was there, I would have stayed there.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Come
really?
on back.
Yeah.
Well, tell me more about this. And so that same conversation happened to me 15 times, no joke, of just really talented young people that are from here, that are somewhere else doing great stuff. Mm-hmm. And that literally will wish that they had the opportunity to do that great stuff here because this is where they're from, this is where they care about. I feel like steel towns like this, where I grew up just outside of Alliance, like I feel like there's still a magnet underneath these towns that when we go off, and I got to see the world in the Army and I got to live in LA for a period of time and all of that, but something draws you back. It really does. I'll always be grateful that this is where I'm from. And so when I'm having those conversations and people are telling me how proud they are to be from Warren, Ohio, or from the Mahoning Valley, and they wished that there was a way that when they graduated college that they could come back. That's what I see for the next 12 months, the next 5 years, the next 10 years of Brite and organizations like YBI as well, is to make sure that when our kids in our junior highs and our high schools have a dream about changing the world, that they don't need to go to Los Angeles or San Francisco or Chicago or New York or Hong Kong or London, England. By the way, like Paul Monroe, rock star, graduated from Lakeview High School, just got Forbes 30 under 30 in clean tech, lives in London. I call him and I'm like, hey, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, I'm being awesome, I guess. And I'm like, you are. And so he runs this Japan Energy Challenge thing, right? Founded that in 2018. He's got a huge investment portfolio and stuff. And he's like, does Brite want to be like our first American fast track partner? And I'm like, yes. So like companies that are associated with us now get an opportunity to get investment from Panasonic and stuff like that. And so like that's what I'm doing, is trying to find people like Paul, people all over the world that have that opportunity to give back and to do something meaningful right here and not do it because they feel bad about like, oh, I'm from Warren and it sucks. It's like, no, I'm from Warren. It's awesome. I wouldn't be the person that I am if it wasn't coming from this place. How can I leverage what Warren's good at, which is producing talented young people? How can I leverage that for my future and my benefit? And so that's, I think, the difference that I hope that we're bringing is we don't deserve or want anybody's charity. We want to show how valuable we are as a place and as a region. And that's what this is about. And that's why I'm trying to connect us to the rest of the world.
Evolve or be extinct. Rick Stockburger, helping Warren, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, the Midwest, and the United States to evolve, man. It's super cool. We're moving into the future, into an electric future. And a big part of that's happening here in Voltage Valley.
Voltage Valley.
I'm finally going to say it. Do you remember we had Derek McDowell on and we were talking, I don't know if it was on mic or off, and he was like, I don't know about this Voltage Valley. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm sold either. I'm sold now.
Oh, I am too.
I'm sold now.
And I appreciate you choosing Warren and not Salem.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't start this thing, so that's...
Nah, I feel it.
Rick, once again, if someone's interested, they can reach you and find out about Brite at...
Brite.org, Brite.org.
Brite.org. And you have a Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff? Any social media pages?
Brite People, at Brite People is our Twitter. Just search Brite.
There you go.
We have a good LinkedIn as well with a good presence too. And yes, we have Facebook, although I did just delete it off my phone.
Well, you need to spend extra time with that family. I know you got a young family, and I know you got a meeting to get off to, so that hopefully you can get some more people coming to the Midwest. I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Hope to have you again. Until the next time, MDI Studio CEO and Two Ticks and the Dogs principal and president, and Brite Energy Innovators CEO Rick Stockburger wish you well. Come down to the brewery at Modern Methods to see us when it finally opens back up. Until then, be kind to each other, be safe, and stay electrified. Thanks, Rick.
Appreciate you.